Would that I had died in my cradle, rather than lived to see this day.
Today we will talk about Mary Stuart, the queen who most of all wanted to dance, write poetry, love. Instead, she was drawn into tough political intrigues, in which, obviously, she had little understanding. And they ended it all with her spoiler beheading. This is the channel Exposition the History, where they talk about history in order to better understand the present. Like this video, and don't forget to subscribe so as not to miss new videos. Because those who know the history of the past know what awaits us in the future. Mary Stuart was the Queen of Scotland by birth, the Queen of France due to a short first marriage, and also had the right to the English throne, which ultimately led her to lose her head. I must say, if you look at the biographies of the Scottish Stuarts, you will believe in a family curse whether you like it or not. None of them died their own death. By the way, all the kings were called James. They all fought either with England or with the Scottish clan nobility. Some of them died in battle, some as a result of a rebellion, and some in a mysterious way. The curse of the Stuarts, if you believe it, was on the father of Mary Stuart, James V Stuart, and then it passed on to Mary. James V lost both of his sons in battles. At the end of his life, he fell into a severe depression and went on a cuckoo's nest. Just then Mary was born, and James himself died soon after, 6 days after her birth. Having no heir son, and understanding that the crown passes to Mary Stuart, the last thing he said was, "A woman brought us the crown, a woman will lose it." Scotland began to be ruled by Mary's mother, Mary Degwis. French, as is easy to understand. Young Mary is betrothed to the son of the French king, and at the age of 5 is sent to France. The fact is that at that time the Stuarts were still Catholics and fought with the opposing England. And France is also a Catholic country. Little Mary Stuart arrives in France, and she likes it there extremely. She is welcomed. She will receive an excellent education. She studies French, Spanish, Italian, ancient Greek, and Latin. She learns to sing, dance, hunt, and write poetry. By the way, not bad for the time.
Farewell, false world, and all thy vain delight. False hopes, false honors, and false pleasures all. Thy right is wrong, thy wrong is counted right. Thy glory shame, thy wisdom is but small.
With age, she becomes the first beauty of Europe. She has beautiful red hair. Poems are dedicated to her. And most importantly, everything is going well for her with her young fiancé, Prince Francis II, the son of the current king, Henry II. Soon they get married. King Henry II soon dies in a tournament. Francis II becomes king, and Mary, accordingly, Queen of France. Everything is fine with them, but Francis dies a year later at the age of 16. And Mary Stuart, at the age of 19, at one point becomes a useless widow. She does not yet know, and I will spoil it, that the best period of her life is over. The next 25 years await her with intrigues, trials, old-fashioned expectations, and death. By that time, her mother, the Queen of Scots, has died, and Mary goes to reign in her homeland, which she practically does not know. She tries to balance the interests of Catholics and Protestants, and even achieves a certain order and stability. And here she falls in love again. At that time, all the free monarchs of Europe were courting her, but she chose her husband herself. And these were sincere feelings. Her attention was attracted by her cousin. She is 25, he is 19, he is tall, handsome, with wonderful manners of royal blood. Henry Stuart, Lord Dudley. But it soon turns out that this is an empty, vain, mean, and incredibly ambitious scum who is trying to play against her, and who is gradually gaining power. After all, the king, although consort, their feelings quickly cool down, but there is already a child, the future king of both Scotland and England. Remember what his name is? That's right, James VI. Mary gets herself either a lover or just a secretary, David Riccio, whom Dudley's supporters demonstratively cut right in front of her. 57 stab wounds, and in one of the wounds, Dudley's dagger is deliberately left so that the hint is clear. And here another incredible thing happens. Mary Stuart falls in love again. And all this happens in a period of barely more than a year. Unlike the vile and royal Dudley, her new chosen one is the stern, energetic, and willful James Hebburn, Earl of Bothwell. She writes him poems, but there's a problem. She is still married to Dudley. The problem is solved with him simply. One day, the house in which he spent the night blows up. No one has yet found evidence that it was Mary Stuart who ordered it. Yes, maybe it was her. Or maybe it was Bothwell, and she knew nothing. Or maybe it was a provocation by the English to drag Scotland into a further bloody conflict. History does not give a clear answer to such questions. The country explodes. Everyone accuses the Queen of infidelity and the murder of her lawful husband. What does Mary do? She fans this fire even more. And then she officially marries Bothwell. This is a war. Moreover, both Catholics and Protestants unite against her. She has royal troops, and Bothwell is no fool. But in the decisive battle they lose. Negotiations begin. Mary drags them out, and only after making sure that Bothwell is already safe does she sign an abdication from the throne in favor of her one-year-old son, James VI. They never saw Bothwell again. He was then chased for a long time throughout Scotland and deprived of his property rights. He left for Norway, where he was thrown into prison, where he died. And Mary went to England to her relative and rival queen, Elizabeth I. This was not very reasonable. There's a version that Elizabeth supposedly promised Mary's support for returning to Scotland. But this is not accurate. But Mary Stuart was Elizabeth I's rival. Now it is important not to get confused. Mary Stuart was the great-granddaughter of the first English Tudor king, Henry VII. Thus, she was both a Stuart and a Tudor, and had rights to the throne of both Scotland and England. Moreover, the Tudors had already ended by that time, except for Elizabeth I. Although she was the Queen of England at that time, her rights to the throne had collapsed, because she was the daughter of King Henry VIII, but the daughter of Anne Boleyn, the same one that Henry ordered to behead. You can watch the previous video where we told in detail what happened, that Henry, who had been pursuing Anne Boleyn for 7 years, without any doubts ordered to behead her. Henry analyzed the marriage and recognized the daughter Elizabeth as illegitimate. And Mary Stuart, although she did not claim the right to the crown of England, did not renounce them, believing that in this status she remained a relevant political figure. Therefore, Elizabeth, although she received Mary with demonstrative kindness, put her under house arrest, in fact, in prison. Where was the joyful Mary deprived of any communication, where it was damp, where she lost her health and rotted alive for almost 15 years? Well, it's quite in Mary's style that she entered into correspondence with the broadcasters who were preparing the murder of her Elizabeth. Perhaps it was a provocation by the English Secret Services to frame Stuart, who knows him now. Mary Stuart was exposed and sentenced to death. She herself asked to be beheaded publicly. She held herself with incredible dignity and calmed the audience, who were preparing her for death and crying. It is widely known that when the executioner wanted to raise her severed head to demonstrate it to those present, according to tradition, he unexpectedly raised only the wig. It was discovered that during her imprisonment, Mary Stuart lost her luxurious red hair. But until her death, no one noticed the change. They say that this was one of the executions when everything went wrong. Mary was the penultimate Tudor. Elizabeth was the last. And when she later died, Mary's son James I became King of England, who, although he was a Stuart, was also a Tudor. But at the same time, he remained King of Scotland, James VI.
In my end is my beginning.
This quote from Mary Stuart became prophetic, as her death helped her son become king of 2 countries and unite them. Could Mary have escaped her fate, or was she doomed from birth? Write in the comments what you think, and your opinion could become the topic of the next video.